If you're super happy with your life, please stop watching this video. If this is going to cause a problem for you, then just go away and carry on with your day. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Fair warning, this is going to offend you. Now, today is not meant to be an inflammatory video. I actually am intending this video to be an open door for discussion. I don't have answers, and I'm not declaring something in this video. I actually have a question, and I honestly want to know what other people think. My main question is providing for your family enough? And obviously by this title, I'm insinuating it's not. And I'm not declaring it's not. This is like where I'm questioning right now. I really want to know what you think. I've had some times where I talk about how jobs are meaningless. Anytime I say jobs are meaningless, I get pushback, and that's good. We should have pushback. So if I say jobs are meaningless and it offends you, it's probably because you are thinking I'm saying your life is meaningless. If you're just working your job and it's been 30, 40 years, whatever. The reason why this can be so offensive is because when I say, oh, job is meaningless, I'm working just a pointless job. It's not doing any good for the world. It's just meaningless. People take offense to that when I'm even talking about my own job because they're like, well, providing for your family is not meaningless. People get upset because then they're saying, I'm working this crap job basically so that I can provide for my family, and that is not meaningless to me. And that's kind of the point of discussion here, where I don't want to dismiss what you're saying at all, and I recognize that providing for your family is a huge important aspect of life, and I don't want to negate the value of that. That's clearly important, and my dad did that for us. And it's just now that I'm older and I look back and I see that, and it is such self-sacrifice. And it breaks my heart a little bit because it's like his life was put on hold for decades because of his kids. And that is such self-sacrifice right there. And I recognize that. So I definitely see what you're saying, and I get the value of that. But is providing for your family enough? Is that all you're called to do? And I'm not saying that just towards men. And I know especially in this day and age, women are taking that role a lot more than they used to. The question is, do kids only need money? Is that what you mean when you're saying providing for your family? Are kids there just needing to suck all the money away from life? Are kids only needs money? You listen to like people's testimonies or their stories or some storyline in some movie, or every other person you meet and you get to know them and you hear their life story. So many times I've heard how their dad, he just worked all the time and he was hardly a part of their lives. But hey, he provided for them. Is that really all your family needed? Is that all, in the typical role sense, is that all a man is called to do, is to just be gone from the family so that they have tons of money? I kind of think there's a line, like obviously people need to survive and eat and have enough money that you're not just struggling day after day or living month to month, that kind of thing. But once that kind of basic need is established, how much more do you have to do? And in the typical sense, I'm not saying it's just men who deal with this, but aren't men called to do more than just provide? Aren't men called to lead their families? Not just provide for their families, but lead their families? I didn't really have the courage to talk about this until now because I recently saw another video where someone else was commenting on this kind of thing. She was talking about this kind of thing, and it gave me so much relief because I realized I wasn't the only one thinking this, and it kind of gave me permission to voice my questions, my thoughts about it. Men have so much more to bring than just providing financially for their family. To take the argument a little further, it's like, okay, you provided for your family. What is the example you set here? For me, it was always, the literal word was, just work hard your whole life and you'll be fine. Just work hard enough, just keep working hard and you're never gonna be in trouble, you're never gonna starve. And so that, I really do have a really good work ethic, and that was instilled in me. And I think that is a good thing, but it's instilled to trade your time for money. And the more you learn about that kind of thing, it's like, well, that's not exactly freedom-based. Think what you want about that. The point is, kids learn from example. unspoken example more so than just words hammered into them. We just learn from example and copy what we've been raised with for the most part, unless we really do some personal work and break free from whatever we need to break free from. If the example is a man's role is to just be gone from the family and work, what kind of life is that for a man? Like, I definitely don't want to say that to be attacking the typical man's role. Men are so needed, and there's so much attack on men nowadays that it's so heartbreaking with the whole feminist movement and everything. That's just always there. But men are so important, and they have so much that they need to pass on to their kids, or if they don't have kids, to the younger generation in their life. Whatever it is, like, there's so much value they have to give, and it's just shut down by these traditional ideas of just work so you can provide for your family. But you're not there, and there's a lot of damage that comes with that. Does any of that make sense? I do realize a lot of what I'm saying here is probably offensive to a lot of people, but it's not meant to be. It's not meant to attack what you've been doing with your life. It's like, doesn't that sound like that should set you free? And then that goes into, well, what do you think is the meaning of life? Because if the whole point of life is just provide for your family so that they can grow up and go to college, and then they just do the same thing, that's just a cycle of, to me, meaninglessness. Oh, great, they're alive, they're living, they're alive. Big whoop. That sounds so bad, but when you think about it, it's like, well, why? You're doing nothing with your life except just continuing this cycle. And it's so hard because, there's so much mindset indoctrination that happens from an early age. And if you just continue that cycle, it's like so hard to break out. And I'm seeing that. Like, I know my mindset is so messed up right now, and I'm working so hard to break my mindset and reform it. And even though I'm actively trying to do that, it's so hard. And there's so many areas that I'm trapped in that I don't realize yet. And I know it, which is even more frustrating. And it's like, well, just think, if I'm actively trying to fix my mindset, how much harder is it for people who don't realize they have to do that yet? It's overwhelming. So if you think the meaning of life is just to survive until you die, I guess, then great, you're doing the thing and you're providing for the family so they can survive and do the same thing. To me, that seems meaningless. It really does come down to, what do you think the meaning of life is, which is a whole nother barrel of worms. And another thing, like providing for the family, what are kids' needs? Kids seem so complicated nowadays because we're letting them be complicated, but they don't. Kids are basically simple. Before there was so much crap, it was just, being a kid is the most simple thing ever. They don't have very many needs. It's the basic needs. That's all that needs to be met. You start raising iPad kids, and then they have this crazy overstimulation, and they don't create and imagine and go outside. It's just, it creates complications and problems. And that's where it's like, well, they need these things. You're creating needs that weren't originally there. So yes, obviously we need to provide for our families, right? We need to survive, put food on the table, keep a roof over the heads, the basic stuff. The economy here in America is making it harder than ever, but still, there's just basic needs that need to be met, and then that's it. Like, providing for the family is so much more than just money. There's presence, there's leadership, there's the example of how to think and how to act, and just there's so much more. And I know people would say, it's easy for me to say because I don't have kids. And honestly, my husband and I, I'm freaking scared to have kids because I'm not out yet. And I am so scared of instilling in them the wrong mindset and ideology. I don't want to raise them with the mindset that's been keeping me trapped this whole time. I want to break free of that first. Oh yeah, people are very keen to remind me that I'm running out of time to have kids, so thanks for that. But yeah, I'm freaking scared because I don't want to mess up. I want to be the one to kind of break that cycle, but I don't know if I'll have time to. I really want to hear what you think. Like, is providing for the family in just a financial way, which is the typical way you think when you say provide for the family, is that enough? Is that all we're called to do? Or what does provide for the family mean to you? And what is the meaning of life to you? Just drop that ball in there. I don't know.